Okay, let's talk black folks. Yes, I'm Republican, Trump supporter, former Democrat, and I can already hear you calling me all kinds of Uncle Toms and Coons and things, so let's just get that part out of the way. Happy now? Great. And now I know you say because I support Trump, I hate black people, I hate myself, I want to be white, yada, yada, yada. Couldn't be further from the truth. I love being black and I love my black neighborhood. Any neighborhood where I can't run to the corner store and grab a do-rag is not a place where I want to live. I support Trump because I love black people, and I love you, even those of you who say terrible things about me. It rolls off my back because I see the bigger picture, which is illegal immigration. There was a time when Democrats like Obama.
We all agree on the need to better secure the border and to punish employers who choose to hire illegal immigrants. We are a generous and welcoming people here in the United States, but those who enter the country illegally and those who employ them disrespect the rule of law, and they are showing disregard for those who are following the law. We simply cannot allow people to pour into the United States undetected, undocumented, unchecked, and circumventing the line of people who are waiting patiently, diligently, and lawfully.
We're against illegal immigration because it was detrimental to American workers, namely black people. But somewhere along the line, the Democratic Party changed, and now this is who they are.
If you'd be so kind, raise your hand if you think it should be a civil offense rather than a crime to cross a border without documentation. Can we keep the hands up so we could see them?
And let's remember, that's not just a theoretical exercise.
A lot of you have been talking tonight about these government health care plans that you've proposed in one form or another. This is a show of hands question, and hold them up for a moment so people can see. Raise your hand if your government plan would provide coverage for undocumented immigrants.
And to add insult to injury, they use the black struggle in the U.S. as a rationale for letting illegals do whatever the hell they want.
Newark, New Jersey's Mayor Ras Baraka. But the president has gone out of his way, Attorney General Jeff Sessions, saying they actually threaten mayors like you of sanctuary cities. They're going to cut off certain funding.
Right.
I mean, why are they targeting and how do you respond?
Well, I think that them targeting sanctuary cities is a way for them to tell mayors and other folks, around the country, one, that they're sticking to what I think is a very unconstitutional and un-American policy, and trying to intimidate us into being what I've called fugitive slave catchers.
Illegal immigrants use fake social security numbers and other legal documents in sanctuary cities like California to get driver's licenses, jobs, apartments, loans, etc. I know personally because I had an ex who was an illegal immigrant who did all these things. I saw it with my own two eyes. Now ask yourself, how many feet under the jail would yours or my black behind be if we applied for anything involving the U.S. government using fake social security numbers? Just think about that. And not only that, Democrat judges are now sneaking illegals out of back doors of courthouses to evade capture by ICE. Now, what judge ever did this for black folks? Black folks are complaining, marching, and protecting the criminal justice system while Democrats ensure that illegals get a free ride. But Trump is separating families seeking asylum at the border. Oh, you mean the border where these people were never supposed to be at in the first place?
Typically, refugee status is not granted just based on economic need or because a family lives in a bad neighborhood or poverty. It's typically defined fairly narrowly. You have a state, for example, that was targeting a political activist, and they need to get out of the country for fear of prosecution or even death. There may be some narrow circumstances in which there is a humanitarian or refugee status that a family might be eligible for. If that were the case, it'd be better for them to be able to apply in country rather than take a very dangerous journey all the way up to Texas to make those same claims.
With all the wealth our country has, we can rebuild every country in Central America. In fact, we send the Northern Triangle countries hundreds of millions of our tax dollars in aid every year, yet no one in the mainstream media holds the presidents of those countries accountable for where that money's going. Instead, they blame Trump. If Democrats cared about these people as much as they say they do, then why would they encourage them to take such a dangerous journey, risking being repeatedly raped and killed to get here, rather than simply help them where they are? Lack of jobs and violent gangs are not valid reasons for asylum. When black folks here in New York and in LA were endangered by the Crips and Bloods gang activity in the 90s, did you see us walking up to Canada? No, we stayed in our country and figured it the hell out. Then think about it. Why must Democrats have them here so bad? I'll tell you why. They're trying to change the demographics of our country because they know they're having trouble connecting the people outside of the big cities. So let's import illegal agriculture workers into red states, which will eventually become Democrat voters. That's the plan. So when conservatives like Tucker Carlson and Laura Ingraham point these demographic changes out, the media calls them racist, when in fact it's not racist at all. If anything, Black Democrat, they're warning you.
You think any of these people really care about family separation? If they did, they'd be worried about the collapse of the American family, which is measurable and real, but they're not worried about that. In fact, they welcome that collapse because strong families are an impediment to their political power. And that's why they're always lecturing you about the patriarchy and the evil of the nuclear family. Millions and millions of American kids are growing up with one parent at home, families separated, thanks to their policies, and that's fine with them. Many of those kids, by the way, have a parent behind bars. It's not just illegal immigrants who are separated from their children. The majority of American citizens in prison have minor kids they've left behind. Their families have been separated by force by our justice system because they committed a crime. So in that way, these kids are just like the kids you've been watching on television today. The difference, of course, is they're Americans, so nobody is spending $35 grand a year apiece to make sure they're okay. Democratic politicians and cable news anchors don't visit their foster homes to highlight their plight. They're ignored. This is one of those moments that tells you everything about our ruling class. They care far more about foreigners than about their own people. You probably suspected that already. The other thing you may have noticed is that they're not especially interested in solutions to anything. They're great at yelling and at preening, not so good at fixing and building. We could strengthen our borders to keep illegals out. We could fund more immigration courts to process those who sneak through anyway. We could even build more housing facilities at the border, holding facilities, to allow families to stay together while their asylum claims are processed. But the left is not interested in any of that. Their only solution is immediate amnesty for anyone who crosses our borders with a minor in tow. And of course, that's the same as no borders at all, not to mention a powerful incentive for child smuggling. They don't care. Because no matter what they tell you, this is not about helping children. A lot of people yelling at you on TV don't even have children, so don't for a second let them take the moral high ground. Their goal is to change your country forever, and they're succeeding, by the way. Since 2014, to name one example among many, at least 500,000 Central Americans who came here illegally have been released back inside our borders. Did anyone vote for that? And more to the point, who's going to pay for that? Not the people you've been watching on television today. Their kids go to private school if they have them. Their neighborhoods look exactly like they did in 1960. No demographic change at all, just like they like it. There's no cost to them. The cost is entirely on you. But don't complain or else they will call you Hitler.
Right now, there are somewhere between 11 and 30 million illegals floating around our country, undocumented, unvetted, unimmunized. We honestly have no idea of the exact number. And in just this year, 2019, over 1 million illegals have crossed our border. So that being said, there's only about 35 million black people in the U.S. So all these illegals that you black Democrats sit idly by and let your Democratic Party roll out the red carpet for on the strength of the black struggle are coming to your party and will outnumber you. So if you think it's hard to get black issues addressed at 13% of the U.S. population, how much easier do you think that'll be when we're 9%, 8%, 7%, and so on? Since 2000 to 2010, the Hispanic population has grown 4% to the point where they now outnumber us at 16% of the population. Black folks have plateaued at about 12.6%. Politics is population. And in our electoral system, regional and state majorities rule. Politicians want to win, and in order to win, they're going to go after the groups with the largest share of votes, and those groups will eventually shape the party's agenda. Hence why you see all these black Democrats on TV crying crocodile tears over illegals while black communities languish. For the Democrats, the future is illegal. So eventually, whatever black issues you espouse are going to permanently put at the Democrat back burner, as you're seeing right now. Oh, and reparations. Yeah, about that.
This legislation calls for the establishment of a commission to study the issue. That is it. It does not call for reparations. It does not call for monetary and compensation.
So if reparations ain't about a check, then what the hell is it about? And you notice all this fanfare is only for a mere commission to study reparations. Funny how black folks get commissions to study our stuff, but from Democrats, but illegals get direct action. I don't agree with reparations, but off the strength that you do, I think that it's due the respect from the people that you put in office. Then there's this.
Why doesn't President Trump condemn racism? His own words and actions tell you why. He's a racist.
Well, if Donald Trump is a white supremacist, he's a really bad one. A white supremacist wouldn't have freed Alice Johnson.
And the day that I got the news that President Trump had granted my clemency and given me a second chance in life was the best day of my life.
In 1913, he was charged with taking his white girlfriend across state lines for immoral purposes.
So we thank you so much. Yes. Thank you very much.
Surrounded by boxing stars who pushed for his pardon in the Oval Office, Donald Trump finally cleared his name.
Well, on behalf of the White House, on behalf of the presidency, on behalf of this country, our country is a great country, and we have done something today that was very important because we righted a wrong. It was a wrong, and a lot of people knew it. I knew it. Without being an expert on the subject, I knew it for a long time. Jack Johnson was not treated fairly, and we have corrected that.
Deported an ex-Nazi.
But this morning, he's been deported to Germany at the direct order of President Trump.
ABC News was there exclusively as ICE agents wheeled Yaakov Pauli from his New York home.
Sir, are you a Nazi?
You're watching a now frail 95-year-old man finally being deported for his alleged role as an armed guard at a Nazi death camp in Poland decades after his alleged involvement.
Sources tell ABC News the president became fixated on the case, ordering his new ambassador to Germany, Richard Grenell, to make Pauli's deportation a top priority after being sworn in.
Signed the Prison Reform First Step Act, which no CBC Democrats voted for.
President Trump today signed a sweeping criminal justice overhaul, which had rare bipartisan support. It shortens some drug sentences and expands rehabilitation programs for prisoners. As Jim Axelrod reports, it is all about second chances.
How significant do you think this is? By the way, one of your partners in working on this was Jared Kushner.
Jared Kushner, whose father went to prison and who fought on this as hard as that. This is history. This is history. Right now, you're witnessing history on the floor of the U.S. Senate. It is a Christmas miracle underway where, for the first time in a generation, Republicans and Democrats are arm in arm tonight saying, we are sending too many people to prison. They're coming out bitter and not better. We want to make a tremendous difference. I want to say, Hakeem Jeffries on the left, Jared Kushner, and Donald Trump on the right have brought together a coalition like I've never seen. You've got literally the National Association of Manufacturers, Fox News, and Sean Hannity on the same page with Nancy Pelosi, Cory Booker, the ACLU, Cut 50. Something is beautiful is happening. And it's not that you have to see it to believe it. You have to believe it to see it.
Made MLK's birthplace a national landmark.
Also making headlines tonight, the president signing off on a bill to honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. right here in Georgia. The bill, sponsored by Georgia Congressman John Lewis, redesignates the Martin Luther King Jr. National Historic Site in the Sweet Auburn District as the Martin Luther King Jr. Historical Park. Representative Lewis released this statement: "I am so proud that we were able to work in a bipartisan, bicameral manner to establish Georgia's first national historical park in Dr. King's name and legacy before what would be his 89th birthday and the 50th anniversary of his tragic assassination."
He was pictured with Rosa Parks and Muhammad Ali. He wouldn't have sheltered Jennifer Hudson's family in his hotel after the tragedy that happened to her family. He flew Nelson Mandela on his jet. He dated a biracial woman. And he's been hugged up with all of these people. Then you say, but what about Charlottesville? Oh, when he said this?
We condemn in the strongest possible terms this egregious display of hatred, bigotry, and violence. It has no place in America. And then I went on from there. Now, here's the thing. As to, excuse me, take it nice and easy. You had some very bad people in that group, but you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. You had people in that group, excuse me, I saw the same pictures as you did. You had people in that group that were there to protest the taking down of, to them, a very, very important statue and the renaming of a park. You're changing history, you're changing culture, and you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay? And the press has treated them absolutely unfairly. Now, in the other group also, you had some fine people, but you also had troublemakers, and you see them come with the black outfits and with the helmets and with the baseball bats. You had a lot of bad people in the other group too.
What about S-hole countries? Oh, you mean what a Democrat senator said he said about S-hole countries with no actual proof to back it up. Besides, any country that would kill me just because I'm gay is an S-hole in my book. So, I'm telling you all this not to canonize Donald Trump as a saint or anything like that, but the point is to open up your mind a bit as to see where the other side, where my side is coming from. It's time for black Republicans and black Democrats to come together where we can for the good of American black people and for the good of our entire country. You see this here? You see these people? I don't know if you can see this good. You see these people here? These people, our ancestors, did not endure and fight and die for us to hate one another. I'll end this video with a quote by the great Booker T. Washington from 1911. There is a class of colored people who make a business of keeping the troubles, the wrongs, and the hardships of the Negro race before the public. Having learned that they are able to make a living out of their troubles, they have grown into the settled habit of advertising their wrongs, partly because they want sympathy and partly because it pays. Some of these people do not want the Negro to lose his grievances because they do not want to lose their jobs. Think about that. You should have liked this video, subscribe to my channel, and let me know how you feel in the comments. And if you really love it, I mean really love it, be sure to donate. All donation links are in the description of my video. Your donations go toward me making more videos like this and getting more of the truth out there. Until next time, remember Benji's 3 Ps. Practicality, patriotism, pragmatism. The most important of these 3 being pragmatism. Thanks so much, you guys. God bless. Until next time.